Welcome back everyone. I thought today I would make a bit of a follow-up to my video on the animal cell. These are bacterial cells. And bacteria come in, for the most part, three main groups. You have your rod-shaped bacillus cells. You have your sphere-shaped coccyx cells. You have your curvy ones, curved bacteria. So this particular bacteria is a Vibrio type. There's also a spirochete. This looks like a big piece of pasta almost. It looks like you took spaghetti, wrapped it around, and made a big spring out of it. But I felt that it would be good enough to just show a Vibrio to illustrate the idea of a curve. Bacteria have some of the most variety among forms of life. Bacteria come in many different species. But not all bacteria are bad. For instance, there are plenty of bacteria that live in your intestines, and they make up your gut microbiota. So some of those bacteria help in the digestion of food we eat. For instance, we as humans aren't the best at digesting cellulose in plants and in vegetables, but there are some bacteria that are pretty good at that, and so we form a relationship with those bacteria, and they hang out in our gut to help us digest the food we eat. They gain by having a basically a surefire way to survive, because our body isn't going to attack them because we need those. They have to help us, and they help us in return by helping us get the most amount of energy from our food. While many bacteria are either beneficial or neutral to us, so there's a handful that are bad and they hurt us and they make us sick. A famous type of coccyx bacteria is Streptococcus pneumoniae, which causes pneumonia. A famous type of bacillus cell is Salmonella typhi, which is oftentimes found in raw chicken, in chicken-related products. Which is why you shouldn't eat raw eggs, because salmonella can make you sick. A famous type of Vibrio bacteria is Helicobacter pylori, which causes stomach ulcers. Those are just when the lining of your stomach gets thin. So your stomach acid, which breaks down a lot of your food you eat, starts to irritate the inner wall of the stomach. That's no good. That hurts. In the case of a bacterial infection, the doctor may prescribe to you antibiotics. A famous one is penicillin, which works by breaking down the cell wall in bacteria. The cell wall is a piece that our animal cells, human cells, don't have. However, bacterial cells and plant cells do have that. In bacteria, it's made of a substance called peptidoglycan. Penicillin can interfere with the peptidoglycan, and that makes it so the bacterial cell wall is unstable. That way, our cells in our immune cells can attack the bacteria and kill them much easier than if they didn't have their cell wall perforated. Now let's look at the components of a bacterial cell. Bacterial cells don't all have the same parts. So if you look in these three, so this bacillus cell here has a big long flagella. It looks like a whip, and it's used for the bacteria to get around. It's kind of like a boat propeller, but it's really long. This coccyx cell doesn't have a flagella, but like the bacillus cell, it does have these little red lines. Those are cilia. They're like little hairs, and they're very sensitive, and they're not quite as good for moving as a flagella, but they can do a little bit of motion and kind of like wave along. Then in this Vibrio, it has a flagella, but no cilia. With the flagella, the bacillus and the Vibrio cell can both navigate much more fluidly in a medium. But without the cilia, the Vibrio, it's going to have a much harder time distinguishing things that get nearer to it. Now, if you look at this bacillus cell, you'll see this green structure in the center. That's the DNA. Bacterial cells don't have a nucleus, so their DNA just free floats in the cytoplasm. They don't have all the extra bits that we have in our DNA. They only have what they need to make proteins and replicate. Since bacteria are so vast and varied, there's plenty of other things about bacteria that I can discuss in a later video. If you'd like such a video where I delve deeper into bacteria, please let me know. But for now, I hope you have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or good evening.